We discuss the repercussions of delays in council meetings on service delivery. We're joined by Lwazi Skiti, Policy Research and Advocacy Manager at SA Cities Network. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us this afternoon. When you take a look at the promises that were made by political parties ahead of the local government elections last year, and you take a look at how the year has begun for the council, any surprises?
Well, thanks, Tutu, for having me. It's certainly not a surprise. We've seen this happen before. We had the 2016 elections, and they posed to the business of council, so it's certainly not a surprise.
On the business of council, what are the repercussions for you and I?
Well, there's quite a number of repercussions to do, because if you look at where we are now in the municipal finance cycle, a lot of these municipalities would have to pass their midterm expenditure and revenue frameworks, which outline the budget priorities that they would have to roll out in the next coming years. So these need to be approved, obviously, by council. And failure of council to meet means that the business of these service delivery items also lies in limbo. So this has a bearing on commitments that municipalities can make on items such as housing, clinics, libraries, road repairs, etc. And so for government departments that would be waiting to roll this out, it also means that they are waiting the green light from the respective approvals from council.
It's incumbent upon whom to seek greater responsibility in this case?
I think it's a responsibility that's shouldered by all. I mean, this is a government that's elected by us as citizens. But in terms of the dysfunctionality in councils themselves, depending on who you ask, they would get different responses. For instance, if you ask the political parties, they would be quick to shoulder the blame on either the speaker or their respective counterparts in council. If you ask someone sitting at the ordinary citizen of the municipality, they would blame it on just politicians being politicians. And it's certainly something that requires a whole of society approach, and insofar as reviewing how we can better capacitate our municipalities to be more stable when it comes to local coalition governments.
This rough start to the year for the Joburg City Council, does it set the tone for you for the rest of the year?
If it continues as it is to do, then certainly we are in for a very rough ride. But depending on the commitment that these politicians are going to have to making this coalition stable, not only for their own political interests, but in the spirit of the greater city governance or effective city governance, then depending whether or not they do show commitment to making them work, we will certainly wait and see. But from the way they are formed, from the composition of these coalitions, it certainly is an inevitable consequence that there will be these kind of disagreements along the way.
You speak of inevitable consequences. I wonder, when politicians are not able to conduct themselves, as we have seen in the past couple of days like this, then why should everyday people who are then impacted by their lack of coordination then protest when they do not have services? As you've mentioned, this will impact service delivery. Is there something to be said about that, that if they are not able to conduct themselves, why should people then not take to the streets?
Well, it's drumming old ideas. I mean, this has happened before, and it continues to happen in that fashion for a number of reasons. People obviously feel that the state is not responsive to their needs when it comes crisis time, or whether it's just ordinary issues of service delivery. So there's this culture of taking to the streets in order to be heard. But it calls for quite a very extensive review of our municipal system to ensure, to kind of see where are these gaps, why are people are defaulting to taking to the streets as opposed to following the proper channels that have been built into the policy framework of our local municipality system.
Lwazi Skiti, Policy Research and Advocacy Manager at SA Cities Network.